What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the second segment of the Boyz Corner. We even got the banner fixed, the name fixed correctly.
It looks good.
The R is there. We were missing the R last time. But we got my co-host, Cowboys Corner, in the building. Let them know where they can find you, my guy.
Yeah, Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube and underscore Cowboys Corner on Twitter, guys. There's a new channel that's popping up called Cowboys Corner Talk. Not affiliated with them. That's not my channel, but that's the name he chose. But he's a Cowboys fan too, so I'll support him.
Well, man, wow, what a crazy week this has been so far. Like where we left off, everything in the NFL has been going down. It's just, it's crazy. But where we left off last week was Dalton Schultz. We wanted to talk about Dalton Schultz and the franchise tag, and I wanted you to explain a little bit more to me because you are the X's and O's guy. How does Dalton Schultz? Why is this a good thing for the Cowboys? Is what I should ask.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people talk about Dalton Schultz, and the first thing they tell me is Dalton Schultz can't block. Dalton Schultz is not a blocker. Listen, Dalton Schultz was at Stafford. He was a tight end, and all he did was block. Okay, it's there. The blocking scheme is there. What's up, Cowboys champ? The blocking is there. He has it in him to block. That's what he did. He only had 9 balls thrown at him at Stafford, all right? And he caught all 9 balls. Didn't drop one. So I know that's not a lot of stats, not a lot of X's and O's, but he did that. I mean, that's big. Your main excitement is to block. When we throw you the ball, you have to catch it. 9 for 9.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, yeah. For me, I'm one of those guys that I just kind of think that the blocking wasn't there, and I guess it's just the total of the whole offensive line. I mean, he's included in that because when he does block, he's there. But I guess I got to take your word for it that he is a good blocker. But just for me, I didn't see a lot of it. I guess because he was going out, out into the receiving more often, I guess. So for me, it was, and especially with the Chandler Jones when he was getting owned, when a lot of us were against the Cardinals, that's when I really saw his lack of being able to block when they were asking him to block certain players, and he was just getting blown up.
So let's talk about Dalton Schultz being in the NFL, right? This is his 4th. This is going on his 5th year. He's franchise tagged, right? His 5th year. 2018, he didn't get a shot. Jason Witten came back, didn't get a shot, or retired. Retired. Didn't get much of a shot. We had Blake Jarwin there, doing what Blake Jarwin used to do. In 2019, he didn't get a shot. He only had 1 target thrown at him for 6 yards. Okay. 2020 comes around. Blake Jarwin goes down week 1. Who's going to step up? Next man up. That's Dalton Schultz. And Blake Jarwin did this week 1 against, I think it was the Rams in 2020. Tore that ACL up. And then he gets a shot. 63 targets, 615 yards, averaging 9.8 yards a catch, and 4 touchdowns. Okay, so when Dalton Schultz needed to step up, he did it. 2020, he got his shot. He finally got his shot, sat on the bench basically for 2 years, and he got his shot. Then this past year, a full season as tight end number 1 with the expectation that he was going to be tight end number 1 because Blake Jarwin was rehabbing that ACL. They didn't know where he was, right? 78 targets, 800 yards, 10.4 yards an average, and 8 touchdowns. When's the last time the Dallas Cowboys had a tight end with 800 yards? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Dalton Schultz gives you that in a passing league. I get it. People want blocking. Cowboys have a running game. You need to be able to block. You need to be able to sell off the edges. But can Rob Gronkowski block? No, and he's one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony Gonzalez, his blocking was right? But he did a lot of catching. He was one of the best to do it. Jason Witten, we were fortunate enough to have a guy that can block and that could make plays. 1,000-yard receiving yards in his prime, right? Dalton Schultz, he gives you the pass ability. He gives you the open space. He gives you the wide open. He gives you the red zone threat. His yak is fantastic. His hands is sure. He don't fumble a lot. So Dalton Schultz coming in here, getting on the franchise tag. Yes, they can rework that deal and move some money around, maybe $8 million a year instead of this franchise tag with 10. But maybe the Cowboys are happy with the 10 because they haven't moved yet. But they got until June to do that. So that's why I like Dalton Schultz and what he brings, because he didn't get a lot of opportunities the first of his career. People wanted Rico Gathers in 2018.
Okay? Yeah, I remember that.
People wanted Rico Gathers, right? Dalton Schultz got his chance, and he hasn't let me down yet. He hasn't let me down. The blocking stuff, we got to cut that crap out. He's a sure-handed catching machine. He gets you yards. 10 yards a play, that's damn good in the NFL.
Yeah.
For a tight end, that's damn good in the NFL. So that's why I like Dalton Schultz on this football team, because we already know how Dak Prescott is. When he needs blankets, he needs weapons. Dalton Schultz is that weapon.
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as the passing goes, every time it's going to him, I have no worry that the ball's going to be dropped. There was a couple of years ago. What was it? Wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. We had a little bit of a fumbling issue for a couple games. He had a little spurt where he had like 2 or 3 fumbles. That was the only thing that I was worried about him that season. But other than that, as far as being out there and being able to catch the ball, I don't have a problem with him doing that. I actually feel he's one of the guys I feel comfortable with when they're throwing it to him and him going up, not actually going up, but him catching the ball. Like I feel comfortable that he's going to come down with the ball when it's thrown his direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. Just Dalton Schultz, man, just what he's come from, how he's developed. I think he's going to be a star. I think Cowboys champ said it. Kelsey can't block good, but he's a sure hand catching machine. He can get you those yards. He can get you those touchdowns. Dalton Schultz isn't elite yet, but he's getting there.
Yeah, and this is going to be a real test for him. Well, a lot of our wide receivers, including our tight ends, because we're not going to have Amari Cooper out there. That's a name that warrants the defense that they got to plan around, which I've said it, and we're going to see it whether it's true or not. I think a lot of these guys were a product of what was out there, and to me, Dalton Schultz was one of them. But we're going to see what it's going to be like this upcoming season with Amari Cooper not there. It's going to be what? It's going to be CeeDee Lamb, Gallup when he comes back, and Dalton Schultz. Is it not?
Yeah, it is. It is. And when it comes to schemes, I get what Amari Cooper brings to us. And I want to get a breakdown game by game with Dalton Schultz when Amari Cooper was gone, when CeeDee Lamb had concussions. Dalton Schultz stepped up for us, right? So if you can get open, you can make those plays, and you can be a good blanket for Dak Prescott, then I'm all for it. I don't know if necessarily product on the field is a thing, because we have an offensive coordinator that don't know how to scheme around players. So in order for you to get the ball in this system, you got to be open. They don't scheme around players. They didn't scheme around Amari Cooper only once, and that was against the Minnesota Vikings when Cooper Rush was quarterback, right? They don't scheme to say, hey, there's a weakness here, we're going to attack that weakness. Kellen Moore just don't do that. Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore do not do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. We talked about it last week with Kellen Moore not being able to scheme properly for guys to get even open. So we're going to see this season. It's going to be very interesting. Especially going into the draft, a lot of guys, and that's my worry. Like, we had more pressing needs, like we talked about last week, at certain positions, and I feel like it's going to be worrisome going into that first round of what we're going to be looking to draft. I don't know. It's just that's the only thing that bothers me a little bit is what we're going to draft, because I know what I want. I know what especially when you're getting rid of your offensive, not getting rid of, you got rid of La'el Collins. How do you feel about that? That's what I want to know. How do you feel about the La'el Collins release?
I don't think him and Mike McCarthy were on good terms. When Mike McCarthy's first year came, La'el Collins came in overweight. Then he got into the car accident, and then he had to get hip surgery, and then follow up this year, bribing a drug tester and all that. So La'el Collins really didn't make a good impact on Joe Philbin or Mike McCarthy in the first 2 years of them being here. Maybe that stuff could slide under Jason Garrett, because Garrett was a buddy instead of a coach, and Mike McCarthy don't tolerate that. I could see where they're kind of holding people accountable here. But if you don't replace starter caliber players, you're downgrading. You can't expect rookies to come in here and plug and play. We're not going to get lucky like we got lucky with Micah Parsons. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and to that point, so what do you feel about – so do you think, I guess, it will be a downgrade if you have – because, I mean, we saw last year Terrence Steele stepped up while Leo was gone. I mean, you didn't hear his name being called a lot. At least I didn't hear it when I was watching those games. Do you think it's going to downgrade to have him at the right tackle position?
I think it's about the same. Terrence Steele has developed very well with Joe Philbin. And I don't trust Terrence Steele as much as other people do because it's who he's playing, what we're using, how fast was Dak getting the ball out of his hands. And when Terrence Steele was there, Dak was getting the ball out of his hands really fast. I think it was like 3.1 or it was 2.8 seconds that Dak was getting the ball out of his hands. So Terrence Steele just had to hold off just for 2.5 seconds, basically. When Dak scrambles and stuff, he didn't trust that right side. With Terrence Steele there. So I'm not as high as people are on Terrence Steele. I'm kind of like you with Dalton Schultz when it comes to Terrence Steele. He has to show me just a little bit more. Because when he was in, Dak Prescott he was releasing the ball a lot quicker at 2.8 seconds.
I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome. 2.8. That's pretty fast. That's real fast. So I want to get your overall take on what has happened in the past week since our last show, because you had Leal being released, the Randy Gregory deal going down. Who else? Cooper, of course. We talked about that. And then basically what's going on in the NFL with everyone making acquisitions to better their team while we're just sitting back, just releasing players and kind of negotiating with their own guys. And, I mean, the only signing that we've had so far that has any substance to it, and it's a rotational piece, is Darren Armstrong. So what is your overall take this past week on what the Cowboys have done in free agency?
Yeah, they're sticking to what they said. It's depressing. It's underwhelming, but this is what the Cowboys do. Here next week, every team's going to be just fine, and it's going to say, oh, Cowboys got this player. Oh, Cowboys got that player. Oh, Cowboys got this. Cowboys got that.
Yeah.
And 9 out of the 10 players they're going to get, we're going to look at that and say, who in the hell is this? Because that's what they did. Who knew who Carlos Watkins was? Brett Urban, right?
Yeah.
Who knew where J-Ron Kearse, who knew who he was? We heard of guys like DeMonte KZ. We heard of guys like Keanu O'Neal from Atlanta, right? But a lot of these guys we didn't know. I thought Carlos Watkins came in here and played really good. I thought when Brett Urban, in a couple of weeks he played, I thought he was outstanding in the run game. So we have to just trust the process some kind of way or form. I know it's depressing, it's almost like, you're sitting at the house, you're scrolling through Facebook, and it's like, oh, my taxes came in. Oh, I got my stimulus money. Oh, and you're sitting there checking your bank account like, damn, I ain't got nothing yet.
I know.
It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
So we just got to just relax. Things are coming. This is, they got 4 5th-round draft picks. They can move some pieces around, maybe trade for a player. We never know what these Cowboys are going to do. But right now, it looks like we're losing more than we're gaining. But in reality, it looks like that every offseason.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. I mean, every offseason, it's like, okay, we lost this player. Okay, there's interest in this player. But we already know that a lot of these players that they show interest in, especially if they're big names, more than likely they're not coming here. It's just I don't remember the last, big free agency acquisition that we had. I mean, maybe Brandon Carr. I mean, and then the last time we traded for a big name was Roy Williams, and we saw how that happened. Mark Cooper. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Before that, it was Roy Williams. But yeah, when it comes to free agency, it's, to me, I kind of see them like the way my Spurs are. Spurs, you never really find them signing big name free agents. It's always role player type of free agents, veterans that they sign that are good for their team while while they end up doing very well in the draft. And I think that's what the mindset of what the Cowboys are right now is. They've done very well in the past few drafts. And I feel like they're just adding role players here and there at certain positions, while most of the fan base wants big name acquisitions. For whatever reason, they want these big stars. But you're right. We just got to trust the process and see what happens, because you're right. We didn't know who these guys were coming out of free agency, and they actually did pretty well for us. So,
yeah, dude, it's Will McClay, his free agency when it comes to second day or second week free agents it's really bad. Let's be honest. You look at the free agents under Will McClay, and I mean the diamond in the rough would have been David Irving, Jeremy Mincy, George Selvey. Then you got guys like Nolan Carroll, Keanu O'Neal, a lot of guys that really haven't panned out in the second week of free agency that Will McClay likes to go get. But he's had some okay guys come in, some bridge players, a lot of people when we get these signings, oh, that's camp body, oh, this is camp body, but they're more than that for this football team. Sometimes they're more than camp bodies, and then they make plays. Where Will McClay excels at is the draft. But we drafted Cedric Wilson 4 years ago. He's gone. So, and that was a talented player, I thought. There's a lot of pieces that, we don't sign again. We gave a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. That only lasted 3 years. So there's a lot that goes on to it that hurts us at the end. And this not having a first-round pick and letting Amari Cooper go already when you could have had guys like DK Metcalf and some other wide receivers that came out of that draft for
AJ
5
Brown
years versus 3.
Yeah,
it hurts. It hurts tremendously. But at that particular time, in 8 weeks, we needed Amari Cooper here on this football team because we weren't winning nothing. It was really bad. But when you kick the can down the road and you look at it, it was pointless to trade for Amari Cooper, not because of the player, but because of the organization.
Yeah, how everything turned out. Yeah, I mean, but at that point, when you see yourself 3-8, or it was 3-5, with the season being a 16-week season, I mean, I got to go back and look. I don't know what the records were as far as the NFC East goes and what chance you had to make the playoffs. But when you're sitting there at 3-5, do you, as an organization, would you really think, oh, let me trade a first rounder to get a top wide receiver that's over there disgruntled with, at that time, the Oakland Raiders, and let's see what would happen?
Yeah. I think, because I really believe Jerry Jones scrolls through Twitter. I think his grandkids are right there beside him going through Twitter and going through stuff and saying, look at this, Grandpa, look at this, Dad, talking to Steven. So yeah. I think, when there's a panic button, I think Jerry Jones hits it. And I think he hit it a couple of years ago when we were 3-5. I don't know if you remember this or not, but right before they fired Wade Phillips, we were in Green Bay. We were playing the Green Bay Packers. It was either Sunday night or Monday Night Football. And Jerry Jones came on live television for about 10 minutes telling Cowboy fans, don't worry, don't panic. We're going to win games. We're going to do this. They got blown out. Right after that little 10-minute spiel by Jerry Jones, they got blown out. Blown out. Green Bay, they got on the plane. They fired Wade Phillips on the plane. Jason Garrett's your new head coach. Yeah. So sometimes Jerry Jones does hit that panic button.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, I think he said it himself that he goes to that panic button a little bit too much. And I don't know, man. I just feel like he needs to not do that. I mean, I think he needs to believe in or trust in. Sometimes I don't think he trusts in himself, which is why he hits that panic button. I mean, I think he needs to buy into the process a little bit more, because during the draft, we have drafted well, the past, 4 or 5 years. And we got good players. And if somehow, I don't know what it is about this organization, I really don't, of how we have these talented guys. And this is the first year in a long time that I've seen this team play as one. The defense does their part, the offense does their part, but they did it at different times. The first half of the season, it was offense. the defense looked a little shaky. In the second half of the season, when Dak came back from that injury, it was defense, not so much the offense anymore. And I think we're almost – I don't want to say we're almost there, but I think if we had what we had this year, if somehow we could all come together, with us the way we draft when we draft, and then the little role players that we do pick up in second week, third week, fourth week of free agency, I think this team could be something if we just somehow click at the same time.
Yeah, then that's just what it is. And the Cowboys haven't had that good balance there for a while. Look at under Tony Romo. He had a good defense in 2007. Then he didn't have a good defense for 7 years. And you fast forward to 2014. The Cowboys were 8-8 for a long time, or sub 500 for a long time, just because of one man. His name's Tony Romo. And in 2014, they had 32 takeaways, but they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. And we had a lot of takeaways, but we really had nothing to show for it. We lost in the divisional round. We beat the Detroit Lions. Tony Romo on the turf, excited as hell. He hit Terrence Williams, but then you go take a big dump with the catch, no catch thing. And then you go home, and then we don't have a defense until this past year. And that's exactly another 7 years. So every rolling 7 will get a good defense.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you, man. Like I've always been a defensive type of guy, whether it's baseball, football, whatever sport I'm playing. I've always been a defensive guy. And it's exciting to score, but I'd rather be the guy stopping the other team from scoring. And it makes me sad that I don't remember the last time we had a good run-stopping defense. It always seems like we're getting tore up in the middle, and good running teams or good teams with offensive lines and deep and good to great running backs just always seem to gash us. What is it of why we can't get that big run stopper in the middle that we've been longing for? Like, what is it? Like, is it just the coaches not putting what's the word I'm looking for? Valuing that position as much? The big nose tackle. What is it? Or what do you think it is?
Yeah, for a lot of years we had Rod Marinelli as a defensive coordinator, and Rod Marinelli likes undersized defensive tackles because that's the scheme that Rod Marinelli ran. And so when we had these schemes with these undersized tackles, when you have a bigger offensive lineman, it's physics, right? The bigger guy's going to win against the little guy. And we had undersized tackles, and it just didn't work out. And the Rams, exposed that in that playoff game. And the running game really hasn't been good since. But it all starts with your front seven. Sean Lee was the quarterback of this defense. And I remember a time when Sean Lee would go down and that defense would just wad up like a piece of paper.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember
Sean Lee was out. So Sean Lee, Barry Church, those were the big parts of our run stopping back in the day. And we really haven't had that because we had Rod Marinelli as a defensive coordinator wanting undersized defensive tackles. And that's just what you get out of it. And then, you get Dan Quinn in here. And I thought the run defense was better. You look at guys like Quentin Bohanna. You look at Novell Gallimore just a couple of years ago. He was okay. He was a Rod Marinelli guy. But he was a Rod Marinelli guy. Then Dan Quinn got him in here, kind of resurrected that career. Then he got hurt. But I think Dan Quinn coming in here, drafting Quentin Bohanna, 300 pounds. He did lose some weight, though. I don't know if the Cowboys told him to lose some weight or what, but he did lose a couple of pounds because he was a lot bigger at Kentucky. But I don't know. It's just the scheme that we played for a lot of years is why we never had Baconators in here. That's what me and Joe call them on the Frisco Report, Baconators.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. It's just like that's my PTSD for when I watch the Cowboys. It's like, man, if only we had a big old run stopper right in the middle. I think this defense would kind of, especially the front seven, would be set. And you had Gregory, and then you had what's his name, Tank on the edges. And I think that if you had that run stopper in the middle, this defense would be fine. It would just add another element to this defense, another guy that the offense would have to worry about. But it just seemed like for the past forever, we just never valued that position, along with the safety position. We haven't had a top-notch safety since, in my opinion, Roy Williams, and before that it was Darren Woodson. So, I mean, those are two positions that I feel like we've been wanting for the longest time, and we just, for whatever reason, I don't know why we don't value them.
It's all the schemes, man. It's all the schemes. I know when Mike McCarthy came in here, Will McClay said that they're looking at a lot of different players that they wouldn't have looked at under Jason Garrett just because of the scheme fit. So we're going to get bigger in the middle. Tank Lawrence staying is a big part of that run-stopping defense. Randy Gregory, it was a 50-50. It was 50-50 for Randy Gregory. So if they can get a piece in here to rush on that right side via draft or gets, maybe Dorrance Armstrong can step up. I know I'm pipe dreaming here when it comes to Dorrance. He's just a rotational guy. But maybe Dan Quinn could tap in something in a second year. I mean, he did get Dorrance Armstrong most productive year. I get it. He was in a contract year. But maybe Dan Quinn with the second time can get Dorrance Armstrong woken up and become something special.
Yeah, now let me ask you about that. Like what were your thoughts on that Randy Gregory situation? Well, they said he was going to the Cowboys, but then they had that verbiage in there, about behavioral, I guess, situations. You get fined, you lose money, and he decided, F this, I'm out of here. I'm going over to Denver. I mean, knowing that it's in pretty much every Cowboys contract except Dak Prescott's for whatever reason. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, should have been in there, should have not? Did it really matter? I mean,
it was in his first contract, his rookie contract. So this is what happened. And I don't think this will ever be said publicly, but I'll tell you what happened, dude. I'll tell you what happened. And I want you to answer some questions for me. What has Dallas won since Randy Gregory's been a Cowboy?
Nothing.
Do you think Randy Gregory wants to win?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Everyone.
What are they building over there in Denver?
A powerhouse.
They're building a team. Yeah. They got Russell Wilson. They got good wide receiving core. They're working on that offensive line. They got some studs over there at defense. If you're a competitor and you got 5 years, $70 million, 28 guaranteed over here where you've been for 5 years, suspended for 90% of it, but you got the same money here that you haven't won nothing at. You got the same money over here where they're actually doing stuff, and it looks like they have a chance for a championship. Who would you pick?
No, I feel you. I'd pick the team that has a chance to win the championship. But let me ask you this. So then why was it that they said Gregory was going to be going and signing with us, but then when they changed the contract, he said, nah, never mind. I'm going over here.
Look, so there's some other reports in there that I've seen from reliable sources that he was going to pick Wednesday. Tuesday? He picked Denver Tuesday night or Monday night. Jerry Jones said, nah, try to sweet talk him. He said, okay, I'll come with Dallas, right? Then he got to thinking, Russell Wilson's over there. They're doing this. They're doing that. I don't know if this is true, but it makes sense to me because that language is in everybody's contract. That language was in his contract, right? Then he was like, no, I'm going to Denver. Then it got reported that Cowboys were working those kinks out, and they almost had him back to Dallas, but he said, no, I'm going to Denver. I don't think the language has anything to do with it. I think the agent is probably making the language a big deal because Randy Gregory is probably thinking, get me the hell out of here. I want to win.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. That does.
It's the same amount of money. It's the same exact contract. Verbiage, no verbiage. An agent's going to say anything to protect his player.
Yeah,
An agent is going to say anything. I'm telling you that he wanted to go to Denver because he wants to win. If you're a competitor, if you played football, you hate to lose, I promise you, there's going to be a lot of wine waiting for Randy Gregory at Mile High.
No, I feel you know what? That's true. I mean, if you are a competitor, you do want to win. I mean, especially when this is your your job and you have the option to go wherever you want to go, especially when people are throwing money at you. And you have Russell Wilson. You have, well, they got rid of Noah Fant. Who they got? Courtland Sutton. What's the other wide receiver they got? Jerry Jeudy. You know, they got a good defense. I mean, they got you know, they got some studs over there. So yeah, it makes perfect sense of what you're saying.
I'm telling you, that contract language was just an excuse. And Randy Gregory, he loves the Jones family. That's why it was like his mind was like, I need to stay in Dallas. But I want to win, man. I want to win. Trust me, if you're a competitor, you got to be thinking that's what happened. You have to be.
No, I 100% believe you. I really do, because it only makes sense for that to be the reason. There's if it's been in his contract before, why would it be a big deal now?
Exactly.
Why would it be a big deal now? And I mean, that's what I'm arguing with people on Twitter. It's not so much what you said that it was in his contract before, but it was like, well, you know what? If he's all good and dandy, you know, he don't have these substance problems anymore. What's the big deal about signing it? Now, I never made that connection of what you're saying where, well, you know what? They're building this over here. It's the same amount. Let's use this as an excuse to get out of here, to make the fans turn on the Cowboys, to make it think like they're the ones screwing me over. It's last minute verbiage, whatever. You know what? That makes sense.
An agent's going to say anything to protect this player. Randy Gregory, I wish he would just come out and just say, this is why I came here. I wanted to win. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and I'm going to be here like, what's up?
Yeah.
But right now, this is my team. I want Randy Gregory here.
Yeah.
We ain't winning nothing.
And what's funny is you're going to be called a hater and don't know what you're talking about until that happens. Because you know what?
Randy Gregory ain't here. You can't prove me wrong. You can't prove yourself right. It's just my thinking.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like we said, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Now, I want to know something because you're a big D-Law guy.
Yes.
What does this new contract do for the Cowboys as far as cap space? Now, I know it created, $14 million in cap space?
Yes.
Right? So, since they redid a new contract, $30 million, 3 years, $30 million, $10 million a year, all of it guaranteed, what does that do for his cap hit now? And what does that do for his old contract that he had?
His base salary right now is like $5 million. He took a massive pay cut. Let me go over to cap.com and see if I can't break this down just a little bit. Because when I seen that base salary, I was like, holy crap. Tank Lawrence really did something. So let's see here. DeMarcus Lawrence. Oh, excuse me. It's $14 million cap hit. Okay. That's his cap number. And then in 2023, next year, it's going to be $26 million. So that tells me right then and there that this is a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal. Okay. And then post June 1 in that third year, that alleviates some money. But Tank here, listen, he's had multiple back surgeries. He ain't going to get that money with any other team. I know he was on a podcast talking big dollars like, hey, cut me. I know what I'm worth. You're not going to get that. No. And I bet his agent told him, dude, you got multiple back surgeries. You missed a lot of football last year. You're not Zadarius Smith, who just signed with the Ravens. And I really feel that way. I don't think Tank would have got that money elsewhere. So his agent's like, tell them what you think you're worth and see if they'll do it, because they'll probably do it. Jerry will do it. Steven won't, but Jerry will. So that's why they got Jerry in the conversation, because he knew he would do it. But it makes sense for the team. It's sad that they're not doing anything with the money. But Tank, he wanted to do it. He's still getting $30 million, and if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. And if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But he's going to be able to make $95 million over the course of 5 years.
Yeah. So I guess it's more Jerry's the softy and Steven's more the hardcore one, where it comes to at least dishing out money for value type of players. Because you said it yourself that Tank's had multiple back surgeries. He's missed football last year. If they're going to cut him, I mean, that's the only thing is that what the post-June cut, I think that last contract, it would have saved, I think, like $16 million on the post-June cut. But yeah, I mean, he did do something massive for the Cowboys. That was very unexpected of what was said before, because he was talking about how, I'm not gonna do no restructuring or a new contract. This is what I'm worth, and they were gonna get ready to cut him if he didn't play ball. And I mean, he did, and they went to Jerry, and Jerry gave him his money.
Yeah, dude, it's good. Tank, Randy Gregory's still fresh. I don't care about his age. He's still fresh. Tank's getting older, and he has all those surgeries. So it just makes sense to try to make $95 million in the course of 5 years and be set for life. And his kids are going to be set for life. So it's smart.
Yeah, no, that's very smart. I mean, he's very good, I guess, because I think he negotiated his last deal. I think on that podcast, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, he called up the Joneses and got that deal done.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you're big. I mean, it's not the sacks. I mean, it's the sacks that gets a player paid, but it's all the little things, all the nuances that brings him back. What is it? Because for me, like I said, I'm not, like I told you before, I'm not the X's and O's guy. The verbiage, everything for actually watching and understanding the actual game, breaking everything down, that's not me. I'm more the eye test of what I see. Sacks are a big deal for me, whatever, because you got other guys that are getting the sacks but getting paid less. What is it about Tank that got him that first massive deal in the first place? Like, what were the little things that he did? Because aside from his contract year that he got 14 sacks, and then he was on a franchise tag the following year and he got 10.5 sacks, which then ultimately led to that big contract that he had. What were the little things that he did to even help him get to where he was? Because I know after that contract year, he kind of fell off as far as sacks go.
Yeah, for sure. No, so he got 14.5 sacks. He got franchise tag, like you said, got 10.5, 5, 6, and then he got 3. And he got an interception, by the way.
Yeah, that's it.
But when you turn on the tape and you watch D-Law, even with the eye test, when you watch D-Law, you see hustle. He's not getting to the quarterback, but he's getting pressure on the quarterback. And McDaniel, the coach for the Miami Dolphins, when he was with the 49ers, he said pressures are an unvaluable stat. He goes, pressures recalls turnovers. And DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory is a big part of that too. Okay, Randy Gregory, I think he was like number 1 in the NFL pressures that led into turnovers. Okay, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's right there with that. But when you turn on the tape and you see the runner running a running back running 15 yards down the field, guess who's right behind him? Tank Lawrence is making those tackles, right? So the hustle is there. To me, I'm a defensive guy myself. I get it. When you grade a defensive end, you want to see sack numbers. But there's a lot of stuff that you can't measure when it comes. Yes, we want the sacks. We want clutch sacks. We want fourth quarter sacks. We want game-changing sacks, right? We want the sacks that he did against 2014 against the Detroit Lions, right? We want that kind of elite from DeMarcus Lawrence. But on the same token, I want a player that's going to give you everything he got, every down, every play, everything, sack or not. As long as you can do your job in a way that if you got outside containment, make that happen. If you got to go sack that quarterback, make it happen. If you got to go run 30 yards down the field to go make a tackle, you go make that happen. DeMarcus Lawrence does that. He's a whole nother animal. I've never seen a player of that caliber that can, A, be a good run defender as DeMarcus Lawrence is, and 2, not give up on any plays. Yeah, he's not getting those sacks, but if he was just had a second, that much more time, he would have had a lot more sacks. in his career. All he needed was that much. He's limited to his pass rush moves. I will tell you that he's very limited on his pass rush moves. I don't know if he can grow that tree anymore. But his best stunt is when he fakes the outside, goes in the middle of the guard and the tackle, and he gets that quarterback. That's his favorite move. And then his arm swipe, right? When he goes in there, he crashes and he gets him out of the way, and he goes around the corner and he gets that sack. Those are his two favorite pass moves that he loves. But his heart, his hustle, and his passion, there's not a measuring stick that can do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're not gonna see football for another 6-7 months, and you're already getting me hyped over here, getting ready to. I'm not a. You already know I'm with Fifth Quarter Cowboy on that. I'm not a big D-Law guy, but just you explaining it to us getting me hyped, man. I kind of want to see this now.
Yeah, sure,
see DeMarcus do this, because I mean, like I said, I was a DeMarcus Lawrence fan when he had those big number sacks, and I'm a guy that is not a guy that likes to pay guys on a contract year, because it seems like everyone does well on a contract year. But then when he went out on a franchise tag, and yeah, I mean, it was 4 less sacks, but still it's double-digit sacks. And that's it's hard to do in the NFL. I was like, all right, man, I'm ready to give this guy his money. And then once the sacks kind of fell off, that's what kind of did it for me. After that, I was like, we're not leading the league in sacks. Our defense is iffy at best, even when he's there. But you were talking about how good of a run stopper he is. What are the numbers when he's in the game and when he's not in the game? Because to me, like I said, the eye test and even just looking at stats, it seemed like we did okay this year, at least okay without him. And then it really didn't seem like much of a difference when he came back from injury.
I don't have those numbers. I'll be sure to get them for next show. But I mean, you look at week 1. He forced a fumble, and then I thought, he had an interception. He had a couple of forced fumbles going on here. I mean, he makes plays. I mean, he does make some plays, but I have to go back and go watch those numbers of when he's not there and when he is there.
Yeah. So, I guess what do you think is going to happen with the curse situation? Because it seems like we got Armstrong out of the way, and it seems like from what I'm seeing, I'm not big on the whole reading too much into a player unfollowing a team, on social media. But I came up right before the show started. I was looking at Twitter, and it seemed like Curse, unfollowed the Cowboys. With him being wasn't he pretty much a career special teams guy? And then when he came with us, he just kind of blew up.
Yep.
What do you feel about how, and yourself too, including this, the fan base and you feel about how everyone's upset that the Cowboys can't come to an agreement or may not even sign Curse, knowing what he was?
Well, this is the problem, what he wants. You just can't have one good a year and expect a payday. The NFL don't work like that. You haven't put anything on paper, J-Ron Curse. In the first couple of years of your career, you come to Dallas and Dan Quinn schemed around you where you can exceed. You said it yourself, J-Ron Curse, that they're using your ability, your best ability, and they're using that on the field. Dan Quinn found that potential. He found that ability in you, Curse. So you have one good a year. And, let me just compare this to the inflation that we got going on right now. I'm a salesman. I sell semi-trucks and trailers. And right now the truck market year over year is up 103%. And it's 20% over year. So 100% over the last 2 years, 20% over the last year. And people see the prices, right? Just give you an example. A 2015 T660 was 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever it was about $40,000. Right now, they're roughly worth about $80,000, okay? So people see that this truck market is in high demand for used equipment. And they think, you know what, I got this 2012 Freightliner Cascadia sitting back here. I bought it for $30,000. I see them going for $40,000. Let me go ahead and sell this. So they bring that to me. They bring this to my attention. I look at their equipment and I say, okay, your real differentials are locked up. They're rusted out. Your motor probably needs an overhaul. Dude, your truck, they want 40 grand because they see that, right?
Yeah.
Dude, your truck's really worth about 20 because it needs this. Dude, you think I slapped their wife in the face? You're crazy. I can go get this. I can go get my 40 grand. We'll go get your 40 grand because we're not going to give that 40 grand to you. So
yeah.
let's go back to J-Ron Curse. So J-Ron Curse thinking because he had one good year because he got a truck in his backyard and he thinks it's worth something. J-Ron Curse, that's not how the NFL works. It used to be that way. J-Ron Curse wants big money, but why hasn't any other team offered him big money? Why is it still quiet for J-Ron Curse? Because he thinks he got a $40,000 truck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He has a $20,000 truck. He's a 7 to 8 million year wide receiver, safety, but he's probably won $16 million a year.
Yeah, based off of his one good season.
It don't work that way. No.
So if the Cowboys kind of just they don't play ball and they let it go, he's probably gonna end up coming back then. I mean, unless there's a team out there that just, all right, we're gonna give you a couple extra mil to come play over here, and they're not gonna have that Dan Quinn to scheme around it. And maybe they'll have someone else to kind of tweak his strengths a little bit. But yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy of everything. And by the way, I got a guy who's looking to buy some trucks or buy a truck because he's got his CDL, I got my CDL, and with work, man, I'm ready to start truck driving, man. I'm not even kidding you.
If the best advice I can give you right now, if you're a startup, do not buy in this market. Do not.
Yeah, no, I know the market's crazy right now.
Wait a couple years, please. Wait a couple years.
Yeah, no. Off topic. My buddy left work. That we were because I was working for him there at my job, and I was his helper, and he was my operator, and he went to go. He got his hazmats, and he went to go apply somewhere else, and now he's making buku money truck driving for a company.
Yeah, if you can lease on, right now is a good time to lease on, get you some experience. Lease on, get you some experience. But if you're looking to start running your own stuff, I got some people I can put you in contact with that can help you. The first thing you got to do, though, I know this is off subject, you got to find you a good broker. The trucking industry, dude, there's money to be made in it. We do very well just on the truck side of things. So just imagine if I was pulling a trailer and with some freight in it. So there's definitely money in it, and it's a good direction to go in. But you have to know if you want that lifestyle or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's already told me about his lifestyle, and I already kind of know what it is. Like I said, I'm not doing 18-wheeler type of truck driving, but I am a CDL holder. I got my endorsements and everything I need because of my job. But yeah, no, I know it's kind of a bad market right now because everything that's going on. But
it's a horrible market.
Yeah, but let's get back to the Cowboys.
It's good for me. It's good for me.
It's good for you. Good for the salesman. But it's bad for us over here. But going forward, I guess starting next week, we'll start to see more of that basement bargain type of deals coming around for the Cowboys then, huh? What is your take when you read these things about Bobby Wagner coming here? What's your initial take? Because now it kind of seems like there's more and more reports coming out that the Cowboys are interested. For me, it's just like I'm not going to believe it until I see it because I hear this too often and I know better. So I'm not going to get all excited over nothing. And even if he does come here, what is he, 31 years old? And, people in this fan base are ready to throw the bag at him because of his name.
Yeah, no, listen. First it was Earl Thomas. Then it was Richard Sherman. Now it's Bobby Wagner. I don't know the obsession with Cowboy fans and wanting has-beens. I get it. The talent's there, but we're not talking about Von Miller here. We're talking about Bobby Wagner. who I mean, and don't get me wrong, he's a highly talented linebacker. But how does he help Micah Parsons? I wanted Von Miller. I did want Von Miller because Von Miller could teach Micah Parsons different things because they're almost the same type of player, right? Bobby Wagner, he can make you some plays. He could be a difference maker, yes. But for the full length of the season, he's up there in age. I can tell you he ain't used to losing. I mean, hell, we had a little piece here in the Legion of Doom and the Legion of Boom, and that was Michael Bennett. And how did that work out for Michael Bennett?
Yeah, he wanted out, man.
He wanted out so damn fast. I'll be super shocked, dude. I will be super shocked if Bobby Wagner is a Dallas Cowboy. I mean, I will. The Cowboys, this ain't the type of guys they sign. They're not going to go out there and spend big bucks for him. They might wait till after, if he's still on the market, they're going to wait till after the draft, see how the draft plays out. Bobby Wagner could be an after the draft kind of signing. But to me, it's just whatever. I just don't know what Cowboys' obsession is with old Legion and Boo players. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, what was it? Last year, the year before, I wouldn't say I was on that Richard Sherman train, but when it looked like we needed some corners, especially, and I think it was last season when
it was last season.
Yeah, when the two corners, what did CJ Horn and Surtain went, because everyone thought that we were going to get those two guys, and I mean, of course, I made videos on which one we were going to choose only because it seemed like that's the route we were going. But then once, those two guys came off the board, I was ecstatic because, I was a Parsons guy day one. But then I thought, you know what? We still need that other corner position. And I really thought, Sherman can come in here and help. I mean, just kind of be a bridge type of guy. Not so much an elite guy or anything like that, but just a bridge guy until we got someone that could that we could draft. And surprisingly, Anthony Brown stepped up all season except for the Raiders game, and that was surprising to me. And it is crazy to me that even now everyone's on the Anthony Brown train from what I read, and it's just like, are y'all crazy? Like, he had one good season, and you don't want to let this guy go anymore. Like, there's a reason why a lot of these Cowboy players that didn't have good seasons prior had good seasons now, or guys that we brought in have great seasons now. And the reason is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was able to find those strengths in a lot of these guys to turn their career. I don't want to say turn their careers around, but give their career a little more, I guess, oomph to where they're known a little bit more than what they have been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anthony Brown, I'm like this with Anthony Brown. I think Jordan Lewis was more of an upset for me than Anthony Brown was. I really thought Jordan Lewis could be something special, and he starts climbing, and then he does some stupid stuff, and he falls right off the map. So I really disappointed in what Jordan Lewis has done of late. But Anthony Brown, I thought, like you talked about that Raiders game, I really thought Anthony Brown was a solid piece because he knew that he was going to get targeted a lot. And, it was about 70% good for him, 30% bad throughout the course of the season. If he could stay steady like that or not, and get better, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, no, I think for Anthony Brown, if he keeps playing the way he does, I'm all for keeping him because this was the best. I've been wanting Anthony Brown gone since I don't even know when. I can't even tell you when I started wanting him gone. But this past year, of course, having PTSD from how he's played in the past, it was, when is he going to mess up? When is he going to mess up? And it finally happened against the Raiders game. And like you said, he 70% good, 30% bad. And I want to say all that 30% came in that one game. What is it? He had 8 pass interference.
Yeah.
It
was bad.
One time too.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Brown had more penalty yards than the offense had yards that game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And if he's able to spread that 30% out through the course of the season, except instead of in a couple of games here and there, I think Anthony Brown can be, can change my mind and, turn the tides for me to where I'll be satisfied with having him. But at the same time, I'm tired of being satisfied with having players on this team that, yes, they do good, and yes, they have, decent stats or good stats. I want this team to come together and do what they haven't done in 26 years. I mean, I know all of us do, but that's the ultimate goal that we're all waiting for, and can't wait and if that happens again.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. No, I get what you're saying. The Cowboys, they haven't improved their roster this offseason. They got Malik Hooker, and they got Tank to stay, but they lost Randy Gregory. And I'm real surprised about Leighton Vander Esch's market. I haven't heard anything about Leighton Vander Esch, and he might be an after the draft signing, and that's surprising to me. I thought in the right system, in the right scheme, I thought when the front seven got healthy for Dallas, late in the year, Leighton Vander Esch turned it on.
Yeah, he did.
And I'm real shocked that he's not a high priority right now.
True. Well, not just only for our team, but any team. I mean, do you think that the Cowboys know something we don't as far as Leighton Vander Esch in the market? I mean, do you think that his injuries could have played a huge role in not having that, getting the bag, if you will, from another team?
Yeah, I think Jason Garrett called it a flare-up, and the flare-up led to surgery. And then that next following year, right after surgery, he broke his collarbone, and he missed a lot of football too. So I think injuries, that neck is definitely probably playing a part with some teams. How much information the Cowboys sharing on that neck? How many doctor loops do they got to get around? Those teams to get that information. He's not even visiting teams to get that neck evaluated. So it's real surprising to me that his market's so bare.
Yeah, and I was there on that because I think he broke it against the Eagles. I think I was there at that game because it was in Dallas. I think. Yeah, I was there at that game when it happened. It was like, oh, he got hurt. Okay, he's he'll be fine. He'll come back in, and then all of a sudden you see him and he's they're talking about collarbone and all kinds of shit. When I get to the hotel and I'm watching on TV, and I was like, oh man, this is he's gone for a little bit. But so before we get out of here, I want to know what you think is going to happen with Vander Esch. You said he might be an after the draft signing. Do you think the Cowboys are going to offer him, lowball him like what they normally do, and with him not having very many suitors or any suitors at all, you think he's going to take it?
I think they'll offer probably $8 million a year, 2-year deal. They'll probably offer him what they gave Dorrance Armstrong, but a little bit more money. And I mean, that saves them from using that 5th-year option money. But they could be done with him because they didn't pick up that 5th-year option. So I think he'll go to another team. He'll probably play for an NFC East team. I can see that happening too.
Yeah. I mean, I sent you that one thing a couple weeks ago because my dad freaked me out when he was like, "Oh, Leighton Vander Esch is going to the Texans." I was like, "Wait, what? I didn't get nothing." I had to look that up, and I was like, "Man!" And then when you brought it to my attention that it's just a report and it's just speculation, I read it, and I was like, "Man, these motherfuckers are scaring the shit out of me, telling me that." Yeah, I was like, "Man, these free agency hasn't even started yet."
Yeah.
But, all right, man. Well, that hits about our hour mark, bro. Another fun, great show. A lot of you're helping me out understanding some stuff that otherwise I wouldn't understand, and you're actually bringing to light some thoughts that wouldn't, like with the Randy Gregory deal and all that other stuff we've been talking about. So next week, I guess, we'll talk more about the numbers of what Tank does as far as the run stopping our run defense goes. So next week, I'm looking forward to that already. And I'm sure we'll have more news that comes out with the Cowboys, and we'll have more stuff to talk about as we always do because, let's face it, the Cowboys are never out of the media. Jerry's got his Super Bowl, like you put it.
Oh, yeah. He has multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah. But all right, everyone. Cowboys Corner, before we head out, let them know where they can find you, man.
Hey, yeah, great show. The Boyz Corner. It's exciting. We got to host one on my channel one of these days.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But no, the Boyz Corner right here, guys. Only the best between Boys for Life. If you guys haven't subscribed to him, subscribe to him already. Follow him on Twitter, guys. Boys for Life 04, guys. Y'all show him some love, subscribe. But I'm on Twitter also _ Cowboys Corner, and then also Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube, fellas. We're looking forward to next Thursday.
Yes, sir. All right. That's it from the Boyz Corner. Peace, guys.